So a lot of people are talking about the Rode Wireless Pros versus the DJI microphones. I haven't seen the first video of people talking about the Rode Wireless Pro versus the Holly Landmark Max. There's a lot of people praising the Holly Landmark Max on how good they sound, the quality, all that stuff, but they don't compare it against the Rode Wireless Pros. Today, that's going to change. I've had the Holly Landmark Max for about 3 weeks now and the Rode Wireless Pros for about a week. We've worked several jobs with these microphones already, and I think I have a pretty good grasp on which one I like better. So in this video, I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each microphone package and tell you why I think one microphone is better than the other. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the similarities of both of these packages. Like, first of all, both of them have a charging case. Both come with a good amount of accessories. Both of them have internal recording, even though one is higher quality than the other. We'll talk about that later. Battery life is about the same. One's a little higher, but nothing to really talk about. You can adjust the gain on the fly with both of them. Both have a record indication light, which is way more important than you think. Both transfer over Finder and File Explorers, and they transfer pretty fast as well. Also, the distance with the Rode Wireless Pro is 850 feet. Distance with the Holly Landmark Max is 820, but in my opinion, it's close enough to call it the same. Okay, so now that we got all the similarities out of the way, you know what's about the same with each of these microphones. We're gonna go over the pros and cons of the Holly Landmark Max first when it comes to against the Rode Wireless Pro. So starting out with the pros with the Holly Landmark Max, it has headphone jack for monitoring audio, which if you have something like the M50 is nice because the M50, small camera, it don't have a headphone jack for whenever you're shooting footage. So that's the only option you have to monitor audio. Obviously, that's not the ideal solution. You know, you would want a camera that you can monitor audio, so we make sure that whatever's recording on that SD card is clean. But if you don't have a headphone jack, it has one for you. Or if you're shooting with a cell phone, you can monitor audio that way as well. You plug it in Lightning or USB-C, depending if you have an Android phone, you can monitor audio with the headphone jack. So the next thing I put on the pro list is you can format the transmitters from the receiver on the fly. You could be anywhere and format them. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. For me, I think it's a good thing. It could be a bad thing if you have somebody else using the device and if right outside they're moving too quick and they accidentally format something. That would suck, but it's also nice to be able to do it from the receiver. Moving on, the touchscreen makes it really easy to adjust settings on the fly, like adjusting the gain, start and stopping recording. You can turn noise cancellation on and off, and several other things. You can just go through your settings to make sure everything is perfect with the touchscreen on the Holly Landmark Max. Also, the build quality feels a lot better in your hand than the Rode Wireless Pros, in my opinion. The Rode Wireless Pros build quality did get better, but in my opinion, the Holly Landmark Max is better than the Rodes. Also, the Holly Landmark Max, we did touch on it earlier, but it has noise cancellation and the Rodes do not. It has 22 hours total duration with charging case. Obviously, without the charging case, 7.5 hours with each, with the transmitter and the receivers. So with that, that's the pros. We're gonna get into the negatives, but first let's go to the Rode Wireless Pros. Pros, 2 pros in a row, kind of weird, but let's get into it. Okay, so the first pro in the Rode Wireless Pro is time code. Everybody knows when you're shooting long days, 8-hour days, you need time code because you're shooting on several different cameras, and if you sync the time code together, it makes your life when you're editing a lot easier, and the Rode Wireless Pros have that. It has 32-bit flow audio, which is really important. If you do not know what that is, watch my last video. I made a whole video explaining what 32-bit is. Very important. To sum it up, it's like raw footage with audio. High bitrate, crispy clean audio. Definitely check it out if you haven't watched it. But with that, let's get into the next pro, and it comes with lav microphones. Not only just some cheap ones, they send $100 lav microphones with this whole package. You pay $400. That's something I have to mention. The Holly Landmark Max is $300. The Rode Wireless Pros are $400. So it's an extra $100, but it comes with 32-bit recording and it comes with 2 lav microphones that are $100 a piece. So that's extra $200. The next pro is it has threaded locks for your lav microphone. So you can plug in your lav, thread it, and then you can't pull it out. If you have a very energetic person, which we do all the time, they can't pull it out. With the Rode Wireless Go 2s, they pulled out all the time. I would always have to put it back in the Rodes. So with this being threaded, it cannot be pulled out, which is amazing. Great feature. The next thing, it has internal recording for 44 hours. 32-bit recording for 44 hours. That's huge. You can go 3 to 4 days without worrying about formatting your transmitters. Since we're on the Rode Wireless Pro, let's go ahead and go over the cons of this. We know what's a little bit negative about these microphones. So the first con is it has no headphone jack available on the receiver while you're filming with a camera. Say your camera don't have a headphone jack and you need to monitor the audio. With the Wireless Pros, you cannot do that. With a phone, you can, because it goes in USB-C or Lightning, and you can plug in headphones and monitor the audio. But the 3.5mm jack is headphone or microphone jack, which is pretty cool. It's both. But one of the pros of the Hollyland Lark Max is it has both on the receiver. Just to give you an example of a camera that don't have a headphone jack, because probably a lot of you people watching this have cameras that have headphone jacks. The M50 is the only one that I've used in the past that did not have a headphone jack, just because it's smaller. It has a microphone jack. You know, you get audio, but you have to just trust that it's clean audio. Or you shoot sample footage and you just have to trust that it's good all day long. All right, so the next thing that's not so great about the Rode Wireless Pro, to be able to format the transmitters, you do have to plug it into your computer to do that. With the Hollyland Lark Max, you could do it on the fly. Like I said, that could be a positive or a negative. With the Rode Wireless Pros, you could do it through the computer only, which can also be a con and a pro. Just depends on which way you look at it. If you have a camera guy that you just peace of mind, he may be clicking stuff on accident, sunny, he may need more gain. It's clicking too fast and he accidentally formats something, it'll ruin your life. With the Rode Wireless Pro, you don't have to worry about that because you cannot do it. It will not let you format on the fly. Could be a pro or a con, whatever. I mean, at this point, you decide. Another thing that's not so great about the Rode Wireless Pro, some people have noisy backgrounds when they're filming. Luckily for us, we have something we could use on the computer to get rid of it, so I don't care anyway, but it does not have noise cancellation built in that you can turn on and off on the fly. The Hollyland Lark Max does. All right, so the final thing with the Rode Wireless Pros that's kind of annoying, to be able to adjust settings detailed on the fly, you either have to plug it into your phone or a laptop or a computer to adjust settings. Yes, there's a way to adjust settings with the Rode Wireless Pro, but you have to remember how to press the buttons. There's like, you gotta hold a button down 3 seconds. It depends on which button it is. I don't know, I never learned it, but you can do it on your cell phone or a computer, you know, to adjust settings that the Hollyland Lark Max will let you do on the screen with the receiver. That, in my opinion, sucks about the Rode Wireless Pro, but if you just have your settings dialed in before you go shoot, I think you should be fine. Okay, so now that we got the Rode Wireless Pro pros and cons out the way, let's go ahead and get the cons out the way when it comes to the Hollyland Lark Max. It does not have time code. Like I said, if you're on a big production with several cameras, time code is super important. If you don't understand that, then it may be good for you. It's probably a great microphone for you, if you like how it sounds. Also, it has no 32-bit recording, which again, like I said, if you don't know why that's so important, check out my last video. It does not come with a lav microphone. Lav microphones are important, obviously you have to have them, but it is $100 cheaper. You gotta keep that in mind. $100 cheaper with 2 less microphones. I mean, you can live with it because you could use the transmitters as your microphone as well, so it'll probably work for you, depends on what you're doing. Also, the internal recording is only 14 hours at 24-bit, which, I mean, 14 hours, you can get about 2 days out of it. It's only 24-bit, which, you know, if you have your gain set right and all that, it might be perfectly fine at 24. But those are, in my opinion, the cons of the Hollyland Lark Max when it comes against the Rode Wireless Pro. So in conclusion, the Rode Wireless Pros are the microphones that I'm going to use on a daily basis. The Hollyland Lark Max I'm no longer going to use. I may sell them, who knows. But also about the Rodes and the Hollyland, another thing that I didn't really go over in this video is the Rodes, in my opinion, just sound better. The Hollyland just does not sound as good as the Rodes, in my opinion. I'm not going to show you test footage of other people because it's obviously not my content to share. They just sound better. But the main reason I went with the Rode Wireless Pros is the 32-bit. Like I said 2 times already, it's the 3rd time. If you don't know what that is, check out the last video. But the quality is just way better. If somebody's screaming and yelling, you can pull it back. If somebody's whispering, you could pull it up, and it's like they're talking normal. That's a big deal in the, like I said in the last video, in the field that we do. People are not trained to talk on microphones. It's reality TV. You know, sometimes they're yelling, sometimes they're talking low. It's fishing, sometimes they're excited that they caught a fish, sometimes they're disappointed they didn't catch a fish or they lost the fish. So there's all these things to think about. And with the Wireless Pros, you can just adjust your audio accordingly and you never have clipping and you never have any hissing. So with that, I failed to mention this in the beginning of the video. The links to both of these microphones will be down in the description. So with that, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, the bell notification, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, cool.